Hello and welcome to Team Unga Bunga, where we turn cards sideways and always go face. So since we're new to this whole YouTube thing, we'd figure we'd help out the other new people as well with figuring out how to play this game and what exactly this game is about. So just sit back, relax, and hopefully you enjoy the fruits of my ever-loving labor. Thank you, have a great day.
For your Vanguard deck, what you're going to want, your deck's going to consist of all cards from the same clan, which is this little club here. This is Murakumo, and all the cards in this deck are Murakumo. You're going to need a 50 card deck. It's going to be one of them is going to be your starting Vanguard. 16 trigger units. You do need 16 trigger units. 4 of them can be heals, as you can only run 4 heals as per the restriction here. You may only have up to 4 cards with heal in the deck. The other 12 triggers are going to be, crits, fronts, draws, what have you. And the other 37 cards in your deck are going to be on normal units, between the grades of 1 to 3, or grade 4s if you have those in the main deck. So what is a Vanguard card? Just some anime art, a lot of anime art, takes up most of the entire card. Some information, so we'll get to it real quick. You have the name of your unit. You have, right here, the name. You have its effect, if it has any. And you have you have 3 different kinds of effects. Autos, which are green. You have acts, which are blue. And you have continuous, which are red. The names of the skills kind of imply what they do, but I'll explain them. An automatic ability, or auto ability for short, is one that activates when triggered. So, for instance, when rode upon, draw a card. And this Vanguard isn't like Yu-Gi-Oh or other games where you can miss timings. If you ride on top of this, you draw a card. Even if say the thing you ride has a skill that says when you ride it, or when you place it, when it appears, whatever it does something, you get to pick the order of how they go. But more on that later. So there's the effect. Then right under that, you're gonna have the power, which is case 6,000. Everything's in thousands. This star here is how much damage this will do to your opponent's Vanguard if it hits. It's usually always gonna be 1. Then you have the clan. In this case, Murakumo. This is the clan, the little club, the group that it belongs into. Your deck must contain all cards of the same clan. Murakumo, Murakumo, Murakumo. That one's hard to see, but Murakumo. Right under that, you have the race. This one's it's hard to see, but it's a war beast. Just take my word for it. Some skills will worry about that, but it's just extra information on the card. Right here, sideways, you're gonna have its shield. So with Vanguard, since you do take turns attacking each other's Vanguards, you do also have the option to use cards from your hand to shield yourself. And that's where you take that number into account. So grade zeros will usually have anywhere from 10,000, 15,000, or 20,000 shield. Grade 1s will have 10,000 shield, and grade 2s will have 5,000 shield. Grade 3s have no shield. That's usual. There are some exceptions, but those exceptions are exceptions and not the rule. So this is your field setup in Vanguard. You have your deck, you have your field, you have your damage zone, and you have your drop zone. So your deck is where your deck goes, plain and simple. You have your Vanguard in the middle. This is you. If your opponent wants to deal you damage, they'll attack your Vanguard, and your Vanguard does your drive checks. You have your Vanguard's column, which is your Vanguard, and the unit that can boost your Vanguard if it's a grade 1 or 0, or has the boost icon. You have a rear guard. This one does not have a booster. And I have another rear guard, and this one does have a booster. So you have 2 rear guard circles in the front, and 3 rear guards in the back, and your Vanguard in the front as well. During your main phase, you can move units up and down like this, but you cannot move units like that. You can't do that, but you can move in between. Your Vanguard, you can't move your Vanguard to the back. That's not a thing in this game, but that's your field setup. And each grade has a specific grade-specific skill, represented by these icons right under the number, the grade number. Grade 0s and grade 1s can boost. When your Vanguard formation will typically look like this. You'll have your Vanguard, you'll have some rear guards, and then you can also have rear guards in the back, because you have 6 spots to use. Let me get these out of the way. You have 6 circles, which they're called in this game, spaces, and the units in the back, provided that they have the boost ability, as we've covered all grade 0s and 1s have, they can lend their power to the unit in the front to make attack stronger. Grade 2s have this funny little arrow thing. That's intercept, so if they're in the front row, you can move them to the guard circle when being attacked, or when you're being attacked, you can move them to the guard circle from the front row, and you then can guard with them using their shield. And then grade 3s have twin drive, which is this little DNA thing, and they drive check 2 cards instead of 1 card. Okay guys, so typical Vanguard turn will go, you stand your guys, you draw a card, you take a card from your hand that's 1 grade higher than your Vanguard, you place it, you ride. So that concludes your stand phase, your draw phase, your ride phase, which is fancy names for the order that you have to do things. You would stand your units, draw a card, you would ride, then you'd enter your main phase where you can call things, you can activate activated abilities, you can move your units within their columns, so do up and down, but not side to side. And then after that you enter your battle phase, in which case you attack your opponent. Then after that is the end of your turn. It's the end phase, but the end phase only matters if you have things activated during the end phase. So I would ride. I don't have any other, but I would call if I wanted to. You don't want to call heal trigger, but this is just for example. Call if I wanted to, and first turn doesn't get to attack, but continuing on after the second turn you can attack from there. Generally, you do always want to attack with your Vanguard because you do get a free card out of it with your drive check. So your battle step will go as follows. You would choose your attacker, so in this case my Vanguard. You would turn it sideways to declare that it's attacking, and you would declare its target. At that point, your opponent decides to guard or not, and since this is your Vanguard, you perform a drive check. You check the top card. If it's a trigger, you get the effect. If not, either way, the card goes to your hand. Free cards in hand. So with Vanguard, you do see a bit more of the cards out of your deck than you would in other games. Okay, so we'll explain guarding real quick. Right here, it's a bit cluttered because of where I'm recording, but we have my opponent's field. They have their Vanguard, they have their 2 rear guards in the front, and they have 2 rear guards in the back. They don't have a booster for their Vanguard. You're not always going to have a booster, so you make do with what you have. And here we have my field, where I have my Vanguard, my 2 front row rear guards, and you can't see them, but I do have 2 boosters here. So it'll be my opponent's turn. So we'll say it's after my turn, so I already attacked, so my units are rested. So when you declare an attack in this game, you turn the card sideways and you declare who you're attacking. So in this case, their Vanguard will attack my Vanguard. It's the same card, but in this game, equal power hits. So his attack will be able to hit me at this moment. Now, you declare the attack, then you get to choose whether or not you would like to guard. So say I have these cards in my hand. I can then use these cards and just put them on the field in between our Vanguards. There's a little space there for the Guardians. And I can then guard the attack, provided that the shield value that I am using puts me at a value over my opponent's Vanguard. So if I were to shield with this critical trigger, I would then put my Vanguard up to 12 plus 15, 27, meaning his Vanguard would then need to reach 27 to hit my Vanguard. As far as triggers are concerned, there are 4 different kinds of triggers that you can run in this game. The critical trigger, which allows you to do 1 more damage. We have the front trigger. This one's a really fun one. It'll give 10,000 power to all your front row units. Only Excel decks have these, and they can get pretty dangerous when you have a full front row. Several attacks, all at plus 10,000 power. 15,000 shield, same as the critical. 5,000 power, same as the critical. Then you have heal triggers. These, when checked, allow you to recover 1 damage if your damage is equal to or higher than your opponent. So if you're less damage, you can't heal down. These heal triggers have 20,000 shield, also give 10,000 power, and they heal. And the last trigger is a draw trigger. 10,000, you draw a card. Now there are two kinds of draw triggers. You have this draw trigger, 0 shield, but it has an ability. And this draw trigger, 5,000 shield, no ability. Now the difference, besides one foil, one not foil, is that this draw trigger has a continuous ability called Sentinel. You may only have up to 4 cards with continuous Sentinel in a deck. And auto guard, so this skill is activated when you place it for guard. When placed, then you have the cost. Discard a card from your hand, and one of your units cannot be hit until end of the battle. So pretty much it nullifies an attack when you use it to guard. Whereas this draw trigger does not, but it has its own shield, whereas this has no shield. And if you want to run more draw triggers, you can only run 4 of these, so you can add more draws with this. So besides units, Vanguard has one other type of card. Well, kinda. It's not exactly a real card. You can say it's more imaginary. So you have normal units, and your grade 3s, if you've noticed, if you've been a observant viewer, they all have this symbol here. So weird triangle within a triangle. And this one says Excel. This one says Protect. It's even a different color. It's green versus the yellow. And this one, but would you look at that? It says Force, and it's blue. So when you ride a grade 3 with your Vanguard, not only do you get any skills it already has, but first thing you do when you ride, you gain an imaginary gift. These are the other types of cards, and they are all different in their own way. You have Excel. When acquired, put this marker as a new front row rear guard, and the unit on that rear guard gets 10,000 power during your turn. So this pretty much lets you break the normal field setup, because now instead of just having 2 front rows, with your Excel gift, you place it somewhere in your front row, and now this is another unit. You could put a unit there for attacking, and it gets 10,000 power, so it gets even stronger. Then you have Protect, and these, they're going to act as a perfect guard, as you can see. It says Sentinel, but since they don't go in your deck, they're not restricted by the Sentinel restriction. When placed, discard a card from your hand, and one of your units cannot be hit until end of that battle. So same thing as a perfect guard, and these go into your hand, these go into the field. Now the last one, last but not least, Force. When acquired, put this marker on your Vanguard or rear guard, and the unit on that circle gets 10,000 power to end it during your turn. So it's not like Excel where you get a new Force marker, or you get a new rear guard, but you just place it under one of your guys in the front, and it gets 10,000 power during your turn for the rest of the game. You can put it on your Vanguard, make your Vanguard bigger, put it on your rear guard, make that rear guard bigger. And not only are the gifts different, but the units themselves are different too. Force, as it's supposed to be more of the middle ground between the defensive Protect clans and their markers, and the aggressive Excel clans and their extra spaces. Force is supposed to be in between, so you have a higher base power. This is 13, whereas 12 for Excel and 12 for Protect. So that's supposed to give it, make it like in the middle. So you have that. Also, Force grade 2s are 10Ks, whereas Excel and Protect are 9Ks. You do also have, we recently got new types of imaginary gifts. Luckily though, they're all just Excel 2, Force 2, Protect 2. And they're all going to be sideways. So all this art's going to be sideways, this will be sideways like that. And the differences is, Force 2 gives you it makes your unit's Vanguard base critical 2. So the only thing it does is it changes this 1 into a 2, so it doesn't stack. Because you can put 2 of them under it, but it's only going to make it 2 twice. So 2. Excel 2, you trade half the power, so it's only 5,000 power, but when you make the marker, you draw a card. So then you now have an extra, a new card to put it on that marker, which helps Excel clans fill up their boards to be more aggressive. And you have Protect 2. Protect 2, you place it on a rearguard circle, so it doesn't go in your hand. Rearguard circle, the unit on there gets 5,000 power and 10,000 shield. Continuous, always. Even during your opponent's turn, so it makes your rearguards beefier, so harder to hit, and it also gives your rearguards stronger shield when they intercept.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below, and we'll try to get to them as quickly as possible. Engagement is as important to us as the quality of our videos. Down below you will find our Twitter information. You can stay up to date with us to get all the latest news involving Team Unga Bunga and anything we're up to. But that being said, see you in the next one.